Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley. I was recently in court and I had 3 cases in the same courthouse. And that's common, you know, and they're all set at the same time. So like 8:30, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Those are kind of the general times for criminal cases. So on that particular day, I had 3 people, 3 different courtrooms, 3 different judges, 3 different prosecutors. And all of the people were very anxious. And although I take time to explain everything before the case, I meet with my clients in person or I meet with them on Zoom. I go through the discovery, I go through the plea offer, and if they're accepting a plea, and these cases were plea cases, right? I had everything worked out with the prosecutor before, everything done. And it starts off with, I'm driving to the courthouse. It's about 8:20 in the morning. And all 3 of them call me between 8 a.m. and 8:20 to let me know they're at the court and where am I. And I just, it's a woosa. Listen, I'm on my way, right? I have 3 different people to handle. I always try to figure out which judge has the least docket. So I may run to all 3 courtrooms, stick my head in, and there might be 2 people in one courtroom, 10 in another, 30 in another. So obviously whatever has less, I do first, unless I know that a particular judge, the way he does it. But you get to know each judge, and some are like this, and some are like la da da. So again, I let the clients know, but still get 3 calls and run to the courtrooms. I go, remember I said I'm going to run to each courtroom, so I'll be right back. And first case is major anxiety. Even though I've already gone through all of the information, right? I've gone through all of the information prior to, so they know exactly what documents they're signing. Everything's been discussed prior. The first client just goes, yeah, but I mean, why am I pleading guilty? Or why am I pleading no contest? And I'm like, we've gone over this. And I say, listen, you have 2 options. You're either pleading guilty to this charge, and I had the charges reduced, right? So I said this, or you can opt to fight. But if you opt to fight, I can't guarantee victory. Right now, this is guaranteed in your hand. But I didn't do it. So listen, no one's forcing you to do it. You have 2 options. Option 1, that we've talked about several times, that we scheduled for today, is the plea, and you're getting a reduced charge. Option 2 is we set the case for motions and or trial. Right now, there's a reduced charge. If I file the motions and I reject it, well, then that offer is rejected, and you're facing the original charges. And if that's a 2nd-degree felony, and I got it down to a misdemeanor, do you want to give up the misdemeanor for facing a maximum of 15 years Florida State Prison? And then, the person, they sort of have a panic attack. And it's hard because I don't have any experience in psychiatry, or I'm not a psychologist. They start breaking down. Of course, one of the other 2 clients on a different floor starts ringing my cell as I'm dealing with, chaotic moment number 1. And I say to the person, listen, it's your choice. There's no pressure from me. My job as an attorney is to give you options. You have option 1, you have option 2. I'm going to run to the other client. I'm going to deal with that while you make sure. If I need to reset it, I'll reset it. There's no pressure from RP Foley, right? You came to my office. We consulted several times. We had meetings in person and on Zoom. You told me this is what you wanted to do. We talked about it last week. We talked about it this week, right? But people still, I don't know, they start to hyperventilate, and they are dealing with whatever their own demons are, right? It's, I don't know, a 2nd-degree felony, 15 years, I get it down to a misdemeanor. Okay. Is it a perfect? Is it a grand slam home run? No. Is it a triple? Or it's kind of like a triple. It's like a legit triple. If it's basketball, it's, you know, it's like a 25 to 30 point game. I don't know. I think that's pretty good. Of course, if you're truly innocent, then it's not. And these aren't even convictions, guys. This is like a withhold of adjudication. All right. So I leave that person, run to the next person. Now I go to that person and I say, okay, this is what I need you to do. I need you to run down and get this information for me, and I need you to pay this at the clerk because, as I told you before, I have everything worked out. The case is going to get dismissed, and there's like a traffic infraction, you know, like whatever. Typical case, like a drug case, you get pulled over for speeding, and then they smell weed, and then they search, and then they find drugs. Again, another case that is ultimately getting dismissed, but they're going to have to pay for an infraction because the judge says, Mr. Foley, I'm not dismissing the infraction. They have a bad driving record. I'm like, okay, we'll dismiss the third-degree felony, but we won't dismiss the infraction. Okay. Like, and then it can set it for trial. And of course, then I ask the client, well, do I go to trial? It's a traffic ticket. There's not a lot of legal prowl. Like, there's not a lot of major defenses to a traffic infraction. You know, like you were speeding, you know. So client agrees to do that. Get that done. Client has questions. Hang on, I'll be happy to answer your questions. If it's 1 minute, I can do it. If we need 5 minutes, I got to run to the next client. Of course, the next client's calling. Go to that client. That client is a change of charge on a DUI to a reckless. So now I'm back into misdemeanor court. And that person has requests. They want to buy a community service hours. They need to travel for work. You know, they're in the construction business, so they do landscaping, they do construction, so they're constantly traveling between the counties. So you have to request that. State doesn't really have an objection, but the judge has some issues with it. So the judge says no, and I go, okay. So then I go out, and then the client is having a panic attack. Well, how am I gonna, if I can't do this, and if they're gonna make me do this, well then how am I gonna do this? And I don't know. And I know as soon as the judge denied my request, I was like, this is gonna be a problem. And in my mind, I'm going, might have to vacate the plea, just because if this person has to travel and the judge isn't going to allow them to travel, you know, because they go all over the state kind of thing, this is gonna be a problem. So I go outside, I talk, I'm going through things with probation. Probation's like, this is gonna be a problem. We're not trying to figure it out. First client's calling me, running back to that court. So when I say the morning can be anxiety, I don't have the anxiety, but I'm a firm believer. Like I always say, if you hang out with doctors, you become a doctor. You hang out with drug dealers, you become a drug dealer, right? If you hang out with people that speak Spanish, you're gonna learn to speak Spanish, right? Like whatever the circle is, right? Sometimes I'm dealing with people who are going through mental health struggles and anxiety, depression. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'm talking someone down from suicide, or they're just saying, I don't care, and they're having like a rage of anger on the phone, on Zoom, in my office. And then as I was sitting there, right, I'm going through this and I'm waiting on one of the judges, and then the one that denied me, and I'm going, do they have any idea? Do they have any idea how their ruling is changing my day and is going to be almost impossible to overcome? So then I go to probation, and then I go to the interlock people, then I go to the breath testing people, and I'm trying to figure out all of these different options so I can go back and explain to the judge, can we figure this out? And the judge is looking at me like I got two heads, like like today's my first day of practice and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I'm going, all right, so I'm literally sitting in the pew and I'm like, okay, judge could be in a bad mood. Maybe the judge doesn't like me. I don't know. The judge seems sort of upset. And I'm trying to figure out, and I just, God, please give me the ability to articulate this client's specific set of facts so I can articulate it in a manner where the judge receives it, understands it, appreciates the argument, and does what I'm asking. And it took a little while, but you know who's good, right? God is good. God is great. And although my clients couldn't handle it and I couldn't handle it, he, praise Jesus, he can handle it. Because even though we're all sinners, he loves us and he forgives us. And if we give it to him, he'll help. I got help. I got the 3 cases completed. Everybody was happy. Everybody's problem was solved. There were 2 dismissals and 1, there was a combination of dismissals and reduced charges, and no adjudications. I'm a big advocator of not having an adjudication on your record because you can't seal it, you can't expunge it. But what's the purpose? Why did I just tell you the story? Because it's not all flash. You watch Suits, it's not all like da-da-da-da, and everyone's walking around and everyone's perfectly athletic and like I'm drinking my water, like I'm a chubby guy. The office isn't filled with male and female models. We're regular people doing jobs and dealing with difficult situations for people. And sometimes folks realize it. Sometimes they have literally broken down. I've had people crying outside the courtroom, inside the courtroom, even though all the time is taken before to make sure that they understand it's difficult. When you are facing incarceration on a felony charge, even on a misdemeanor charge, it breaks a lot of people. And the anxiety, the fear of the unknown, and it's tough. It's tough for me. So I don't ever hear any attorneys talking about this, so I'm sharing. I hope you have a great day. I just left the court today. It was an easy day. But 2 days ago was a hard day, so I'm sharing. All right, I got to go to meetings, and have a wonderful day. God bless you. Give it to him. Lord, thank you. See ya.